This is Jordan Tower with JT News. Make sure you smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. Okay, so we got Fat Joe and Remy Ma. She used to be very disloyal to Fat Joe, especially back in the day when she thought her contract was not fair. She feels like she got bad contract with, she only got a few cars and a couple 100,000, but she went at Fat Joe at one point, and then actually took meetings with 50 Cent when they had beef. Let's get right into this. Back in time now, a long time ago, 14 years ago, Remy Ma had just released her album. It was There's Something About Remy, taking off the movie Something About Mary. And, she had been down with Fat Joe a while at that point. She started off with Big Pun. When Big Pun passed, Fat Joe inherited her. And then, it really took off around the Lean Back time. I remember when that dropped. Everybody was curious about Remy Ma. Even though, she's been dropping on mixtapes before then, but everyone was curious about her. And that was the time they should have dropped her album. They dropped Fat Joe's album. They should have dropped her album right after that. There was a lot of hype on Remy, and everybody loved her. But they waited too long. Fat Joe and them waited too long. It's not completely his fault. It has to do with label, a bunch of other stuff. And eventually, when Remy released her album, the sales were really bad. Not her fault. There just wasn't a lot of push, and they shot the music videos and everything, but the interest wasn't there anymore. A couple of years had passed. It was 2006, and she just didn't feel like she was getting the support from Fat Joe and the label. She chose to stay out of the 50 Cent beef with Fat Joe. She didn't like that. She's like, I'm a woman. I'm going to stay out of that. I don't want to be involved in that. I think he's mad because I executive produced my own album. Why you mad? You wasn't there. I can count the times you came to the studio after my album was done. I'm pretty sure you would have did it. But why would I do that? Your album didn't do good. What do you say? Send your own? I don't know what that means. But anyways, Fat Joe's last album said nothing. 500,000 copies featuring Remy Ma with a lean back. So Fat Joe's album sold gold with lean back on it. Remy said she was only paid this is where everything came. She said she was only paid $3,000, while Joe was being paid 30 to 40 grand when they were going on tour after Lean Back came out, and he was charging $10,000 extra for Remy to be there because she's a solo act. But at first he was only paying her $300. Then she complained, got a manager, and was only then paid $3,000. And she placed a lot of responsibility on the founder of Loud Records, Steve Rifkin. So things got out of hand. Remy complained on her promo tour about Fat Joe not being there and not getting support from Loud Records, and things kind of came to a head. Fat Joe didn't like that. She even said on the Wendy Williams show, when things went left, Fat Joe said he would never talk to her again after she was talking spicy about him on the radio. Instead of them, I'm glad they worked things out. Okay, and the only reason I'm talking about this is because they just had the verses. He gave her a Birkin bag for always being down, but she wasn't always down. They did have a split, and he mentions that he put her on and everything. Nobody would know her without him, but still, there's still a loyalty there that I think they came to realize and missed, and that's why they made up after she went to jail. She did many interviews after, first she tried to patch it up with doing a Wendy Williams interview, and, she expressed her gripes, but said she wanted to work it out. But Fat Joe was a little stubborn around that time. He had just come off the beef with 50. They were still going through it, right? He responded to her interview on Wendy Williams, from the Wendy Williams interview, and she did another interview with another radio show. I'll link them below, because a lot of them try to scrub the internet of these interviews, but they're out there. And on there, she talks about that, she did everything on her own. Fat Joe didn't really help her a lot. It wasn't being paid properly for being on the road. It didn't get the support she needed. And, that got Fat Joe mad. He responded to that. He said, all I did is put these people in houses and everything. Now, Fat Joe might have had weird business around that time because she's not the only one that left, you know? Everybody on Terror Squad had ended up leaving at one point, you know? It's hard to run a label and keep everybody happy, you know? Like Triple Sace left, Cuban Link left, and they all had the same kind of gripes, you know, not enough being done for them. Who's the other ones? All the you know, Terror Squad had like 6 members. Some just never put out an album again. Some Tony Sunshine had problems with Fat Joe at one point, but you know, some of them made up, some of them didn't. Remy ended up going to jail because she got accused of popping some girl over missing money. She claimed she didn't do it, but she ended up going to jail, and she went to jail for a long time. I think she was in jail for like 6 years. 6 or 7 years. And while she was gone, people get older and they mature and they realize their wrongs. We've all been through this with gripes. Even while she was in jail, Papoose, you know, he was married to her and he held her down all those years. I mean, you got to commend that. And Papoose even popped off on Fat Joe one time because he felt like he was, you know, but now they're all cool, you know, but it's funny how that worked out. In 2014, Remy called Joe through somebody else from jail, and they patched things up before she came out. I think she came out 2015, right? She came out 2015. Then Joe got her turned up with All the Way Up, and they did that album together. I didn't like that Remy went and signed with Capitol Records after that, because she should have probably stayed with Joe, because Joe and her were a good team. Because you haven't heard Remy since then. She dissed Nicki Minaj shortly after that, and then you never heard really much from her rap-wise after that. She's on Love and Hip Hop. A lot of people got to know her through that, but the music just isn't there anymore. She just released a single, but nobody seems to care. No shade to her. I mean, you know, it's like she can rap. I mean, she looks a lot better now. Like, she really took her health seriously in the past 2 or 3 years, and she looks amazing compared to what she looked like before. She looked okay before, but she looked really healthy now, like really good, you know? And that's a compliment, you know? You know, back in the day, people have egos and everything, and then you grow up and you realize everything you did wrong, and you just want to be friends again, because they did have a bond, you know, and business went left, but I'm glad they patched it up. Fat Joe even released her when she requested a release, but the one thing she couldn't do was sign with 50 Cent, and 50 Cent was interested in signing her, especially because he had a beef with Fat Joe. It would have been like a great get back, right? And she couldn't sign with 50, and she complained that, you know, she couldn't do that. And 50 held her down, though. Even when she was gone, he always supported her, always gave her advice, and she always held that bond. And it's good that 50 and Fat Joe made up, too, because their beef was over him getting on a record with Ja Rule. It wasn't even real, you know? That whole Ja Rule and 50 thing really was a stress for New York City for those years. But my point of this video is, like, they had issues, but this also shows you that you can get past issues with people. As time goes on, sometimes you realize where you were wrong or where the other person was wrong. I've had this happen in my life, and you can patch things up. It was a betrayal on Remy's part, but it was probably also a betrayal on Fat Joe's part around that time in 2007. Fat Joe probably handled some business improperly. Sounds like the show money was a little funny when she, you know, and but she's a hustler, and she got it on her own, as she always does. I mean, she's definitely still making tons of money now, even without music, you know, because she's not really doing a lot of music right now. You know, she got dropped from Capitol Records, or parted ways with them, after having a record with Lil' Kim, who she used to have beef with too back in the day, and Chris Brown. So I think she's going to go more the independent route. I think hopefully she teams back up with Joe, and they continue what they were doing in 2016 and 17. Anyways, guys, this is just a little recap of life. This is Jordan Tower with JT News. Smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and I'll check you guys in the next one. Peace.